Good evening, viewers. We have a very special guest today, the Special Public Prosecutor, very senior legal luminary, Adv.Ujjwal Nikam with us. We are trying to understand the nuances that is happening around on the political turmoil that is being witnessed by Maharashtra. So, without wasting much time, we would like to have a better interaction so that the general public gets an idea of what are the legal aspects, exclusively towards the legal aspects of the political turmoil, the legal background and the significance, as well as what is the best option that is available for Maharashtra as a state, is what the whole discussion is about. Thank you very much, sir, for giving time for Across State. Welcome for this show. And so just to come to the point, sir, now that we all are witnessing a very difficult time, जैसे कि महाराष्ट्र में शायद ऐसे नॉट ओनली इन महाराष्ट्र, शायद और भी कोई स्टेट्स इंडिया में ऐसा कोई स्थिति नहीं हुआ है, परिस्थिति जो अभी माहौल हुआ है कि रूलिंग पार्टी एंड अ ग्रुप ऑफ डिफेक्टर्स फ्रॉम दैट और अ टीम हु हैव कम आउट ऑफ दैट आइडिया इज चैलेंजिंग द वेरी द स्टेट मशीनरी, उनकी गवर्नमेंट को चैलेंज कर रहे हैं एंड throwing an enormous amount of legal tussle, which is now of course as a part of Supreme Court hearings. तो आपके एक first hand एक observation as a legal luminary on these things जरा बताना चाहता हूँ. Thank you.
देखिए, this is a part of a political game, but I am really amused to see that political game for a political power should not extended more than the 3 days, 4 days. But what Maharashtra is witnessing since last about 8 to 10 days, the whole state administration is, one can say that it is paralyzed. Paralyzed why? Because the government, the one big section of the legislators of one political party, they claim that the government is in the minority. Now the government in Maharashtra is a coalition government of 3 different political parties: ShivSena, Congress and NCP. Now more than the 50 MLAs from ShivSena political party, they are asking that this coalition government, we should disjunct from the coalition government, we should disassociate from the coalition government, and we should support to BJP. That is their political demand. Whereas the Supremo of ShivSena says that no, this is not the mandate. We have agreed to coalesce with other 2 political parties, and therefore they acted against the whip of ShivSena political party, and therefore the deputy speaker on the request of the ShivSena issued a notice, show cause notice, as to why you should not be disqualified from the matter. This is the real issue, to which they had challenged in the Supreme Court, and yesterday Supreme Court has passed an order saying that till 11th July no action should be taken, meaning thereby the 16 MLAs have been granted time till 11th July to file their say, as well as the deputy speaker and the whip of the ShivSena party has been asked to give their statement on oath, that is an affidavit. So matter is adjourned in the Supreme Court. But till 11th July, many things can happen, because whether the government is in majority or minority, that issue will be decided only by the floor test and not by any court of law. So that issue is beyond the jurisdiction of the court. Now, the ministers of ShivSena, there are only 3 to 4 who are handling the other portfolios of their colleagues. And the most funny part is that the so-called rebels still they claim that they are in the ShivSena. They have not made any revolt against their own party, and still they respect the Balasahebji Thackeray, who is the founder of the ShivSena. But now we don't know what will happen. Let us see, but many things are likely to happen. This is my reading before 11th July.
Well, political drama, of course, is a very big dice game. Keeping that aside, now, because now we are talking about the 10th schedule and the anti-defection laws that is applicable here. That is what Deputy Speaker has been exercising. And he is stern on, in fact, we have also got reports that there have been legal luminaries, including AG's office, trying to intervene rather, at the Supreme Court hearing, saying that this is bar beyond the jurisdiction, because 10th schedule cannot be reviewed by, or rather the things applicable there, which is within the legislature cumbrane, cannot be reviewed by Supreme Court. Now, having said that, now it's all about time game. So we have, okay, the court proceedings could go beyond 11th also after the submissions are made by both the parties. But still, that means that we have a big question mark, because the court proceedings can go further. What will happen? Because all the time, as you rightly said, pointed it out, the biggest concern is the entire state machinery is in a way paralyzed. Yes. Nobody can take concrete decisions because they are now barred by some of the restrictions as such. So what do you say would be the right course? Now, ultimately, it's about government to be saved, which is for the benefit of the people. So what is the best recourse that the government as a machinery could have? Would there be a possibility that the entire machinery will be handed over to the other executive provisions, so that the political things can go aside, the conditions can go in the Supreme Court, but still the state is not affected, something like that?
So I don't think, because still the government is functioning, and the chief minister is there, deputy chief minister is there, and they are working. So the government is claiming that government is not unstable at all, and in fact they will say that why there should be a floor test when we are working, when we are functioning. But I personally feel that we have to make certain radical changes in the anti-defection law, because people vote to the candidate, people vote to a political party because they like their ideology, they like their candidate. But if people are betrayed, then certainly the question is whether people should have any right to recall. That is the most important question. Our law is silent on this aspect, and if we have to make changes in the law, we will require to make certain changes in the election law also, in the election rules also, and even in the Representation of People's Act also. So let us see. But such situations are very rare, and again there will be a scope to say that the provision of recall is misused, and again there will be a horse trading also. So nothing can be said at this stage, but certainly you are perfectly right in saying that whether is there any solution. The best solution is that wisdom should prevail upon them. That is the only best solution.
Well, wisdom is a very subjective term, sir. And okay, rightly, since that you have taken the mention of right to recall, some of the states are doing it in certain, say, urban city municipality levels. They have this right to recall presented, but I think maybe because of lack of awareness, people are not exercising even in those states where these things are active. In Maharashtra, if I am not mistaken, the panchayat level, there is a right to recall. That means the mandate, if it's breached, people have the capability to call their representatives back. But given this, okay, you were rightly in saying, the sanctity of the governance is in question now, because it's not the first time it's happening. This kind of a drama has happened in Karnataka. It has been there have been trials in Goa, there have been trials in Jharkhand and other whatnot. So we are going to see, all those citizens of those states are going to see even more dirtier drama, if I would say, because it's ultimately the entire sanctity of democracy and this kind of electoral democracy is in question. Something has to be, as you rightly said, something has to be done, empowered, so that there is some kind of a recourse in case if the entire mandate is misused. So having said that, now the speaker has put in his suggestions and he's taking his actions due course. So till 11th, nothing is going to happen. What do you think is the fastest mode that will touch upon? Like, it's like a running race now. Both factions are running towards the end game. That's what the most titles come with, end game. So I personally do not like to see it that way, Maharashtra end game, because I hope Maharashtra, Jai Maharashtra, should go along. Having said that, now since it's a running race, 11th being one of the dates that Supreme Court has given, till then you should be keeping quiet. What do you assume would be the most probable situation after 11th for Maharashtra government?
It's very difficult and premature to comment upon this issue. क्या होगा 11 के बाद ये कुछ पता नहीं, लेकिन उसके पहले भी कुछ हो सकता है. Let us see, because you see, there is no stay or injunction in any manner by any court of law to the legislator or to the government to have the floor test in the assembly. See, the government may go to the governor, or the governor, on the request of some persons or a group of more persons, independent people who have been elected as an independent candidate, they may go also to the governor saying that we are withdrawing the support from the government. So in that situation, what action governor would take, that is the important question.
Sir, to add to that, let us assume that there is a time we might witness that there is a minority government. Now, people are claiming, but if we are actually to witness a minority government, because the proceedings are happening on the side tracks in Supreme Court, not in actual legislature, but the government is on a suspended animation, there is a minority government in effect. What will be the restrictions on them to run the government? Which are the areas that will be affected if such a situation arises, sir?
You mean to say, what is your exactly query?
Let me clarify more on that. So let us assume that there is a situation. It's a hypothetical question, to be very honest. So there are multiple ifs and buts. But there is a situation where, okay, this is on a suspended animation. This big majority faction they are claiming right now, they are, as it is, the proceedings are going on the Supreme Court. So that means effectively this government will stand to be a minority government, because the confidence vote has not been tested in the ground, I mean on the floor. So if such a situation arises, because if both ways are restricted due to Supreme Court's intervention, then what will be if such a government is functioning, such minority, lesser majority government is to function with supports of all other factions you were talking about, what will be the major areas that the government can function, and which are those areas in terms of functions of the government machinery that will be affected in such a scenario?
If you say that the government is functioning, working, whether it is majority and minority, that can be decided only by the floor test, number one. Number two, when the government is functioning, one has to presume that it is in the majority. And if it is in the majority, government can take any decision. Because ultimately, what is government? The Council of the Ministers, they have to take decision. So Council of Ministers are there. So they can take the decision. They can run the government without any obstacle.
So what would be your, say, kind of an observation, overall observation to this scenario in Maharashtra in the years to come, if this is to continue, if such scenarios are to continue? It is not really good for democracy, as we all agree. So what will be your observation as to where all a citizen or a voter can take extra caution while taking a call on?
I will only it is for the voter. We have to presume that voters are very intelligent. We have to assume that voter cast their vote only after thinking who is the proper candidate, which is the best political party. So I think we have to leave this question to the wisdom of the voters. But certainly, see, like in other states, US, there are two only big political parties by campaign. So we have the many parties, political parties, regional parties, national parties. So regional parties have some limited stake, limited interest in the state. They don't think of the national interest as such. So I personally feel that we should have only 3-4 national political parties. So amongst there should be competition. Regional political parties have different agenda, they have different ideas, they have different ideologies. Their agendas are very shorter than the national political party. National political party has to consider a nation as a whole, whereas the regional political party has to consider only state as a whole. So there is a difference, and therefore will require to consider, in fact, whether the central government should be run by the regional parties also or only national political party. Then the question would be, which are the national political parties? How one can make a distinguish? What would be the criteria? Then all these questions are there. So I think the government will require to think over all these things in the better interest of the country.
Well, one thing we all would agree is a politician would never make rules or a legislation which is restricting upon themselves. I have seen very rare cases where the increment of remunerations for parliament members were passed off within 4 minutes. The bill was tabled, 1 minute description, and 4 minutes the bill got passed. Total 5 minutes. In total, it was a unanimous decision. So when such things come, it is, in a way, it is a breach of mandate of the public. Because when it comes to public debates, they go on for eons. And when it's their personal benefit, I'm not degrading anybody.
Ultimately, politicians, we can't blame the politicians also. Politicians also do hard work. So I have seen some politicians very poor. Really, they are very poor.
Surprising.
Yes. Pardon?
It's very surprising that you said a politician is
Yes,
poor.
not all political people, leaders, I would say. Some political persons are really some poor also. But they have some ideologies, therefore they enter into the politics. But ultimately, if they don't have the means to carry on their life, then they fed up. So we can't condemn all the political parties. See, the whole country is being run by the politicians, means they have certain things also, therefore they came in the politics. But at the same time, because of the few politicians, the whole political circle is being condemned. That is also very bad thing.
Don't you think, sir, somebody like judiciary, it's a very important pillar.
My dear friend, I am not a politician.
Okay, I would bar my question, sir.
Don't ask any question on the politics.
Okay, fine, sir.
I am a common layman.
I admit, you are a common layman with a special designation. What I was saying is, sir, don't you think that the court being a very important pillar of the democracy, in such cases where the politicians fail to see through the situations, don't you think that the judicial, okay, you might call it outreach, but there are certain areas where somebody has to tutor the entire system, that why don't courts in this country come out with some options, some provisions to stop such kind of misuse of mandate?
Court can't do that. The courts are working only on the basis of the certain evidence. See, court can't work on the basis of the hypothetical things or hypotheses ki you are good, you are bad. No, that can't be done. Court interference is necessary only if and only when, if court finds that there is some gross and grave illegalities there.
So even if the mandate is being misused, the court can't direct to enact or to formulate a law by the legislature.
See, it is not the province of the court to enact the law. The court function is only to interpret the law. It is a total function of a different wing, that is the parliament, to enact the law.
Thank you very much, sir. And any final words of wisdom that you could give to all the youngsters who would be aspiring to be a politician?
See, politics, no doubt, because of the some people we are saying and we are condemning politicians and politics. But politics is also such a thing wherein the young entrepreneurs who had to do some work in the politics, in the betterment of the country, certainly they can take the interest in the politics. But they themselves keep away from such bad things which we are observing in the present life.
So like say tomorrow a legal expert like you entering politics can actually give a lot of clarity and cleanliness to the politics, maybe people like you, I would say.
You give me support, you provide finance for the election. You see, in the election, all question is about the money and institutions also you require. So I am okay here in this field.
Thank you very much, sir. On this very prime time where you're a bit pressed for time, you had been very benevolent in giving us time and a lot of advices. I'm sure that this wisdom seeps in. Of course, our readers would enjoy your version of the legal aspect of it. And I'm sure that the wisdom should precipitate somehow for the betterment of the situation there. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very
Jai Hind, Jai Maharashtra.
much.
Right.